The British publishers of Inside Linda Lovelace were tried for obscenity in early 1976. The book was actually found to be not obscene. It was acquitted. The Metropolitan Police essentially ended obscenity prosecutions in England after the Linda Lovelace verdict because, as they said, if Inside Linda Lovelace is not obscene, nothing is. So I should be reading tonight from Chapter 4, which is entitled My Special Techniques, a section called Deep Throat Techniques. So listen up. After meeting Chuck, it soon became a question of whether I could do certain things, not if I thought it was cool or not. I soon built up a flaming desire to be the best at everything. It was only a matter of learning how. He didn't bullwhip me into performing like a circus pony. I was the most willing pupil a teacher could ever have. Since I was so earnest, he devoted the time necessary to help me make my accomplishments. Now I believe I am one of the most highly skilled sexualists in the world. What I may lack in total beauty, I make up for in ways men never forget. And since I've been working on my physical attributes, I'm not so hard to look at either. At least I'm improving all the time. I'm not sure why this is, and I'm not the most devoted reader in the world, but the act of fellatio, I call it cocksucking, is something of an American obsession. I'm told that whenever U.S. armies occupy a land, all the professional women have to learn something almost immediately: how to give head. I can't analyze the American male's motive on this score, but I'm willing to accept it. If American men insist on getting blown, and I'm in America, then it must be important to learn how to do it and do it well. This became my doctorate study in sex. After a year's work, and I think those who saw me in Deep Throat will probably agree, I have become one of the supreme cocksuckers of all time. If that disgusts you, I'm sorry, but everyone wants to be the best in some field of endeavor, and since I'm not exactly material for a Nobel Prize in literature or any other kind of brain work, I do what I can with what I have. Let's get into my throat, good readers. A rumor has circulated that I'm a former sword swallower. This isn't true, but there is a similarity in the technique. A big difference, of course, is size. You can breathe around a sword, but there's no way to breathe around a fat cock. So there is substantially more involved. The entire project began when Chuck referred to this geisha girl he knew in Japan. When I heard about her abilities, I immediately wanted to join her ranks. In other words, anything she can do, I can do better. According to Chuck, I passed her an ability after my first week. As with any difficult exercise, injury can result from negligence. If a man pokes his prick into a girl's throat without her full cooperation, it could ruin her larynx and whatever muscles restrict the passage into the esophagus. And every girl, or man I suppose, will gag the first time this is tried. So it takes a lot of concentration on those muscles and a great amount of practice. The first time I tried, it simply didn't work. I coughed and gagged and very nearly threw up. This almost turned me off completely, but with some minimal help from hypnosis, I wanted to try again. This time we went about it in steps. I started out with a finger in my throat. When I could tolerate that without gagging, the finger was agitated so that I could get used to something moving around in that sensitive area. That worked out well with only a couple days' practice. I learned during this period that swallowing should be held back while an object is in the throat. This helped me to learn to relax my throat. Of course, you can breathe around a finger, so to accept an object that cuts off the windpipe requires more work. This breathing control was achieved by action. When giving head, I practiced taking it as deep as possible, backing off frequently to catch my breath. Then I realized the only way full penetration could be achieved was to position myself so my mouth and throat were in a straight line. Again, like a sword swallower. I managed this best by positioning myself on my back, lying on the bed with my head hanging over the edge of the mattress. The man kneels on the floor facing me and sticks his prick in my mouth. It slides easily into my throat in this position, and he can fuck away. Aha! Success! From then on, it was a matter of trial and error. I kept taking it deeper and deeper, establishing rhythm with the strokes of the cock. On his backstroke, I'd take a breath. From here, it was a matter of accommodating size. But once the cock passes the throat muscles, length is no problem. The physical part of the act is really quite simple. It's the mental problem that has to be overcome. It just isn't natural for something to be poking around that area, and your head tells you so. Thus, the gagging. I never quite upchucked myself, but I almost did. A girlfriend of mine ruined a perfectly swinging party by trying to do my act. The dinner she had had only a few minutes earlier came out all over the guy's lap. This was one girl who will probably never try it again. Of all the tricks I can do with my body, I actually found the throat technique easiest. It took much practice, but this kind of work I enjoy. The other muscle programs demanded much more extensive muscular discipline. But none of it is ever easy, as many of you will probably discover. I will say this, however. It might be worth the initial gagging for the girl whose man likes head and who's repulsed by the taste. You taste none of the semen once it bypasses the mouth. In fact, you don't even feel the load flushing down your esophagus. The only way you know he's coming is by the muscular spasms you feel in your mouth from his cock. The deep throat technique took me about 2 months to master. The entire bodily program I went through in preparation for my debut in the movie required 1 year and 3 months. To me, it was well worth the work, and I keep up the exercises every day.